Every time Tinder facilitates a successful match that leads to a meaningful relationship, they lose 2 customers. And once you understand that, the fact that 63% of young American men are currently single starts to feel a lot less like a coincidence. But there is a new social phenomenon that might be the solution to all this. A solution that could make dating apps obsolete again. Though, before we get there, we have to understand how the current dating crisis even made us get to that point. First, we have to realize that over half of people under 30 are using dating apps, which is exactly where the problem's roots lie. When you download Tinder, you get access to the basic product for free. Swipe, match, message, simple enough. But the free version is deliberately hobbled. You get a limited number of likes per day, you can't see who's already liked you, you have no idea where you rank in anyone else's queue. To fix any of that, you pay. Tinder Plus, Tinder Gold, Tinder Platinum, each tier unlocking a little more visibility. And on top of the subscriptions, you can buy boosts, which push your profile to the top of the pile for 30 minutes. And super likes, which signal to someone that you're especially interested. All of it priced individually, designed to make you feel like the reason you're not matching is that you haven't been visible to other profiles enough yet. Match Group, the parent company that owns Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, and Match.com alongside others, made $3.5 billion in 2024. That's one company having multiple apps creating the illusion of competition, and one unified business model underneath all of it to keep you on the platform and keep you spending. The annual retention rate for dating apps was 3.3% in 2024. Less than 5% of monthly subscribers are still active 12 months later. The average user spends 80 minutes a day on dating apps, more time than most people spend exercising. And the vast majority of them leave within a year, having found nothing. Now, here's where it gets specifically bad for men. Dating apps are a two-sided market, and the two sides have a wildly different experience. Women on these platforms receive far more matches and messages than men. The average man is competing in an environment where his profile is being evaluated against hundreds of others simultaneously, often receiving little to no engagement. Some analyses of app data suggest the bottom 80% of men by match rate are fighting over the bottom 22% of women, while the top women have their pick of almost anyone. Now, whether or not those specific numbers hold up across every dataset, the lived experience for most men on these apps is one of repeated, low-feedback rejection, because the format amplifies inequality in ways that face-to-face interaction simply doesn't. The loneliness data reflects this. A Gallup survey drawing on 2023 and 2024 data found that 25% of American men aged 15 to 34 reported feeling lonely a lot of the previous day, significantly higher than the national average and higher than their male peers across other wealthy nations. A Pew Research survey found that 63% of men under 30 described themselves as single, compared to 34% of women the same age. That gap is contested. Some researchers argue the real difference is closer to 10 percentage points once you account for how many men and women define relationships differently, but even the conservative version of that number tells you something is wrong. So you've got a product optimized for engagement rather than outcomes, a generation of people who aren't meeting anyone, and a loneliness problem that by some measures is worse in the United States than almost anywhere else in the developed world. The obvious questions are, what caused the gap and what fills the gap? We'll start with the latter first, as the answer might surprise you. Of all things, a guy with smart glasses walking up to a stranger in a coffee shop is quietly filling that gap. If you've spent any time on social media in the last couple years, you've probably seen the format. First-person footage, shot from eye level, a man approaching a woman he doesn't know in a public space and starting a conversation. Just two people talking without a real script. The comments underneath are asking what he said, how he kept it going, what he did when she seemed hesitant. They're taking notes instead of the mockery so-called pickup artists would get. But these influencers are different. This is approach coaching, and it has quietly built one of the most engaged audiences in the self-improvement space. The core claim is simple. The fear of talking to strangers is a skill deficit, and skill deficits can be fixed. What these coaches are selling isn't a line or a technique or a system for manipulating someone into liking you. That's what the 2000s wave of pickup artists did. Their pitch is closer to exposure therapy than it is to the pickup artist playbook. Go out, Start conversations. Get comfortable with discomfort. Repeat until it stops feeling like defusing a bomb. The goal, at least in the better corners of this space, is genuine connection. The approach is just the door. Its roots lie with YouTubers like Trip Kramer, who accumulated over 1 million subscribers and nearly 300 million total views, making content almost exclusively for shy men who want to get better at meeting people. Or, well, there's also some highly viewed videos that are, we're skipping over those. His framing has always been explicitly anti-manipulation. I'm more talking about these types of videos. The pitch is social confidence as a genuine life skill, applicable well beyond dating. Men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s show up in his comments saying the same thing. They were never taught this, and nobody else was teaching it. Hamza Ahmed arrived later and grew faster. Starting in 2019, the British YouTuber built a channel for over 2.2 million subscribers by diagnosing something specific about his generation: that young men were retreating from the world, consuming rather than doing. His prescription? Go to the gym, stop watching porn, read books, build something. Eventually, it leads to the same place Trip Kramer starts. Go outside and talk to people. Hamza's audience is younger, his tone is more urgent, but the underlying argument is identical. No app is going to save you. At some point, you have to go be a person in the world. Then there's the revolution, the meta glasses format I talked about before, which is the most visual expression of all of this. The wave I actually think is exactly what is quietly solving this dating crisis. Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses record first-person footage discreetly, and a growing number of creators are using them to film cold approaches from the approacher's perspective. The effect for the viewer is unique in a way that a talking head video about confidence simply isn't. You watch the conversation either open up or close down in real time. You also get to see rejection from the pros, shaping a realistic perspective. It functions less like advice and more like a simulation, a way of experiencing something your nervous system would normally never let you near. What's worth noticing about all these creators, from the long-form YouTube coaches to the POV TikTok formats, is the business model sitting underneath them. Trip Kramer makes money from courses and one-on-one coaching. Hamza Ahmed built a paid community. Their revenue grows when their audience improves. That is the literal inverse of how Tinder makes money. The dating app profits from your continued failure to connect. The approach coach will lose your monthly subscription if you found the one and don't need it anymore. And if you don't find the one, you're still left with skills. Dating apps don't leave you with skills, they leave you with even less than what you came with. So does that mean that there are no downsides to the approach coach movement? Nope, not at all. It would be dishonest to talk about the movement without talking about where it goes wrong. In October 2025, the University of San Francisco issued a campus-wide safety alert. A man wearing Ray-Ban Meta glasses had been approaching women on and around campus with unwanted comments and inappropriate questions. He was allegedly recording the interactions without their knowledge and posting them to social media. The university couldn't identify all the students who may have appeared in the videos. In February 2026, CNN ran a piece on what they called manfluencers, men filming themselves approaching women in public spaces, often without consent, and posting the footage for audiences' growth. That is the obvious point where it goes wrong. The line between approach coaching and the older, uglier pickup artist tradition is real, but it requires active maintenance. The classic pickup artist framework, mystery method, negging, treating interaction as a series of techniques to be deployed, was always fundamentally about overriding someone else's judgment rather than improving your own. The best approach coaches today are explicit about rejecting that framing. But the internet doesn't enforce that distinction automatically. Search cold approach on TikTok and you'll find content ranging from genuinely thoughtful social confidence coaching to men treating rejection counts like a leaderboard, filming women without consent, and framing every interaction as a conquest to be optimized. There's also a subtler problem that even the legitimate version of this space hasn't fully solved. When you start tracking approaches, counting them, reviewing footage, analyzing what worked and what didn't, you risk turning human connection into gamification. And gamification of interaction produces the same distortion as the apps it's supposedly replacing. It makes the number the point rather than the person. The man who approaches 100 women to build confidence is doing something meaningfully different from the man who approaches 100 women to hit a target. The behavior looks identical from the outside, but it's still better than dating apps. At least approach coaching demands that you show up in person, sober, as yourself, and face whatever happens in real time. There's no profile to hide behind. The vulnerability that makes cold approach feel terrifying is also what makes it, at its best, meaningfully different from the thing it's replacing. You also take care of yourself, how you look, how you smell, and how you dress, instead of sitting on the couch in the same outfit for days on end. It's a big distinction that turns out to matter quite a lot. Now, this isn't new at all. Men have been coaching other men on how to talk to women for as long as there have been men who were bad at it. So that goes back to my earlier question, why is this movement suddenly more present than ever? The answer is that the problem got worse, significantly worse, and it got worse for reasons that compound on each other in ways that are hard to unpick. Start with what sociologist Robert Putnam documented in his 2000 book, Bowling Alone. A decades-long collapse of civic and social participation in America. Church attendance falling, union membership falling, civic clubs, bowling leagues, fraternal organizations, all declining sharply from their post-war peaks. In 1920, by some estimates, 1 in 3 adult American men belonged to a fraternal organization of some kind. Those organizations were the infrastructure through which men met strangers, built social trust, and practiced the low-stakes art of talking to people they didn't know. That infrastructure is largely gone. What replaced it, first gradually and then all at once, was the screen. The smartphone fundamentally rewired the reward system that makes socializing feel worth the effort in the first place. Every video or post on social media delivers a small hit of dopamine. You no longer have to walk across a room, manage your nerves, start a conversation, and risk rejection to get that feeling. You can get it lying in bed at 11 p.m. by opening an app. You can even get it sitting across from them without ever making eye contact. The friction that used to make social interaction feel necessary has been engineered away. A dating app match feels like social success. It produces the sensation of connection without requiring any of the actual work of connecting. And because the app is always there, the incentive to do the harder thing, to walk up to someone, to be present, to risk genuine rejection, keeps shrinking. The result is a generation of men who are not antisocial by nature, but who have had almost no practice at the thing approach coaches are now charging to teach. Social confidence, like most things, is built through repetition. It used to be built through childhood, school, the pub, the church hall, and the bowling alley, through hundreds of low-stakes interactions with strangers that accumulated, unremarkably, into the capacity to talk to people. That pipeline has narrowed dramatically, and so men arrive in their 20s having done very little of it, opening an app instead, discovering the app doesn't work, and eventually ending up watching a stranger in meta glasses start a conversation in a Taco Bell and thinking, I could learn something from this. The skill at the center of approach coaching, walking up to someone you don't know and starting a conversation, is not complicated. It is, in the most literal sense, just talking. It's what humans did for the entirety of their existence before the last 15 years arrived. It's how every generation before this one met people, made friends, found partners. Nobody needed a YouTube channel to teach them. It happened through proximity and repetition, and the simple fact that there was nothing else to do. The fact that there is now an industry built around teaching it, that men are watching millions of hours of footage of other men doing it, paying coaches to stand next to them in the street corner while they practice it, consuming entire self-improvement pipelines that culminate in the instruction just to go outside and talk to someone. That fact is either very funny or very sad, depending on your disposition. But here's the hopeful read. The men showing up to this content are trying to close a gap between who they are and who they want to be. A gap that opened quietly over years through a combination of vanishing social infrastructure, a phone that made isolation feel like stimulation, and a dating product that monetized their loneliness without ever seriously intending to fix it. Put the phone down. Go outside. Talk to someone. Go get a coffee. But not any coffee, as that industry is completely messed up. Don't know what I'm talking about? Click here to find out why.